my son told me, Dad, who doesn't love farting humor? So I just immediately went to Amazon and just wrote a farting, humor books. I decided not to compete with other books. I decided to compete with other products. So the total profit during these 30 days was $40,000. It was
Wow.
still a huge amount.
That's Przemek Bogdan, the secret strategist behind over 1,000 KDP books, and most importantly, a book that reached number 12 in the entire US Amazon bookstore. In this episode, Przemek reveals exactly how this idea for the book came about, how his Amazon business has opened up 2 other cash flowing opportunities for him, which you can also steal if you like, and even what the actual book is so you can learn from it for yourself. You'll also learn how Przemek monetizes his KDP success in present day so that you can learn creative ideas to monetize your KDP success later. This is a fascinating story and a delightful masterclass in marketing, which I believe more publishers need to hear. I hope you'll enjoy it, and if you do, subscribe. Now, let's dive in. Welcome, Przemek. Thanks everybody for being here. What's going on, my bro?
Thank you for hosting me,
Yeah,
Toby.
man. Yeah, man. You're calling from Poland today, is that correct?
Yes, yes. From very, very cold Poland, a lot of snow here.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm in South Florida, so,
Oh.
I if you want to come visit though, come by.
I will have to, yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on, Przemek, because we became friends, I guess, earlier this year, and I quickly realized you are a fascinating individual because, well, I'll let you dig into your story a little bit more, but you started publishing while you were pastoring, you were in the ministry, and you also had a dance school. And I found out later that you're a musician. And I'm like, who is this guy? And then you invited me to speak on your webinar. And I'm like, what? He runs a course too? You are a multi-dimensional man. And I'm just thrilled to have you here. So
Yeah,
I
thank
would
you.
love, yeah, I would love if we'll get to the KDP stuff soon enough, but I find that your story leads really well into the KDP stuff, and you have a lot of wisdom for people who are intermediate publishers, especially who may already be making $1,000, $2,000 plus a month, because you've had a lot of twists and turns in your journey that you can share with them. But let's start. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I started publishing in 2019. It was a side hustle because professionally I was running a dance school in Poland. Uh, and then during the pandemic, everything collapses. So my business was absolutely, I had to shut down most of the cities when we had dance courses. So then from the side hustle, I had to decide, okay, so do I really like self-publishing? I said yes. So I started, okay, so now it will be my business.
Hmm.
And I think it was the best decision professionally in my life because it's something else when you do it as a side hustle, when your prime energy and your hope for your finances in somewhere else. When you shift to that, now KDP will be your business, your main thing, then it all started to change. So I from what I see, in many cases, this is the same. Probably it was the same with you, that this decision changed everything. Yeah. And then I started really earning some, of course, good money. It took a couple of months to be self-sufficient. Yeah.
Only a couple of months. How long did it take you before you were making profit on your business?
Uh, Probably 3 months
Wow.
because I was doing that, as a side hustle. So I knew everything. But it was just the case of the focus and the energy and investment, just taking it really seriously. Yeah. So
Hmm.
when I finally made that decision, then it just took 3 months
Okay.
to start profiting from couple of hundred, maybe 300, 400. It was the maximum when it was a side hustle. Then it grew to 1,000, then to 2,000, and it was between steady between $2,000 to $3,000. Yeah,
Hmm.
and then it came a breakthrough, and I had my best-selling book, and that thing changed everything in my life even more. Yeah.
Wow. So if I get the timeline right, you started your business, KDP business as a side hustle. Meanwhile, you're running a dance school. That's your main
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
How long did you do the KDP as a side hustle before you decided, I really want to give this my all?
Oh, it was just and when the pandemic started, I started to think seriously. So when was it? The 2000.
2020.
Still, I was thinking we'll survive. 21 probably. Yes.
Okay. So you did KDP as a side hustle for a year or two?
Yes.
Okay. And then you switch, and then 3 months within switching, you go from a few hundred a month into 1,000, 2,000, and beyond.
Yes. Between 1 to 3,000.
Got it. So that's awesome. And I'm curious, I don't know much about where you live in Poland, but is the cost of living higher, lower than America?
Probably one third of, if you cut everything in half. Probably now it's
Okay,
not as
okay.
good as it was before.
That's
But
good though.
and it's in Poland it's much better than it was, so I can say that when you cut everything in half, then you have a Poland.
Got it. Okay, so then that means that $2,000 goes a longer way where you
Yeah.
guys were living at the time.
Yes.
And you're still living in Poland, so you had to continue scaling that business. And you said you had this new best-selling book come out. How long into the journey of like fully committing yourself was it until your best-selling book came out?
6 months,
Okay.
because I released that book in the beginning of in the late yeah no in the beginning of February 2022.
Hmm.
It's because I wanted to attack the Easter, which was in the middle of April that year. Yeah.
Okay. So you had like 2 months leading into the April Easter push. And this was a
Yes.
book that was specifically tailored to sell at Easter time.
Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
funny story. I'm not sure if. Okay. So the story
Tell
was
it.
that I during the Christmas break, my kids were watching YouTube. Yeah, and they were laughing like crazy. Just got hysterical. So I was asked, what is going on here? And I've learned that they are watching, all three of them, yeah, different ages. But they were bonding watching a cartoon song about farting grandma and farting family. And I was asking, is it really funny? Why is it so funny? And my son told me, Dad, who doesn't love farting humor? Yeah. And it stuck with me. Who doesn't like farting humor? So I just immediately went to Amazon and just wrote a farting, humor books. And it turned out that my son was right. Yeah. So this is how I validated the idea.
No way.
Yeah. Of course, it was no AI. I had to hire illustrator from India. I had to find someone who can write for me the perfect, funny, hilarious English story, farting story. I had to put it together in Canva. It was my first big investment.
Hmm. What did it cost you to create that book?
Oh, not much. Probably about $700.
Okay. But to you at that time, that's a huge investment.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And what was the result of that?
Oh, the result was I was hoping for maybe $3,000, $4,000. It was my goal. And it turned out to land us 12 BSR in all Amazon bookstore.
Number 12?
Yeah,
Wow. In the US market.
yeah, in US
Wow.
market.
What was your price point?
Not, yeah, this is the weakest part because the profit margin was probably $3 because it was, it was a children's book, yeah.
Yeah.
So the total profit during these 30 days was $40,000. It was
Wow.
still a huge amount.
Wow.
In the peak of the season, probably the highest day it was $5,000,
Wow. Wow.
because when you are 12 BSR, you just
That's
sell so
crazy.
many books, yeah?
Przemek, I've met a lot of people and I've never met anyone with a 12 BSR. So
Oh.
you're the number one person that I've met. Well
I
done.
have a friend who was the next the next event was Mother's Day. He was number 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to talk to that friend soon, okay? Introduce me.
Yeah.
Okay, so 40 grand. Now that opens up a world of opportunity because a lot of people, as pretty much anyone listening to this probably knows, when you start the business, most people don't come in with prior business experience or a lot of operating capital to start creating new books and be okay losing a bunch of money. Most
Yeah.
people are bootstrapping it, putting in the sweat equity, fronting a few $1,000s and hoping something works. Over the span of 2 years, they learn the skills, they launch a few books, and eventually one hits and that gives them the cash to then scale it if they want to, or just let it cash flow. What did
Yeah.
you decide to do?
Went for a cruise with my whole family.
Your children deserved that for giving you the idea.
Yeah, yeah, because uh, it was one of my dream, so it was this kind of dream that was unreachable. Yeah, so I just took my whole family. We just went to Miami for 1 month, and we just booked a 2-week cruise through Caribbeans. And I just spent probably half of that money. But the result was that I just embodied the life that was is possible, the tangible life that was possible. And on that cruise, I said to myself and to my wife, this is what this is the life that we want to live. I want to have the business that will afford our family to go for a cruise each year as long as we want.
Hmm.
And the funny thing is that this farting rabbit, except 1 year when it was not live, when I revive it, the 2 next year, so 2023 and 2024, it's paid for the cruise again and again.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't 12, but in every time I'm in the first top 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to this day, does it still sell very well?
Yeah, it was 89th probably last year.
Wow. So every year it's still making you another
Yeah, it just
$20,000 or something?
goes live.
Yeah.
I just all I do is I turn on the ads again. Yeah, but the book is really unbeatable now because it has probably about 800 reviews, 790 maybe, something like that. So
Yeah. Quite difficult to compete with that.
yeah,
And not to mention, people forget this. Amazon doesn't just look at your listing, they look at your history of the listing. So
Yeah, that's true.
I could come out today, Przemek, with the same kind of book as you, with a better cover, with 1,000 reviews, and I wouldn't make as many sales as you because you
Yes,
have proof that you convert. So
yes,
you'll have
yes.
preference. Yeah.
Amazon allows me uh, every year to go lower and lower with bits.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay. So, hmm, did you try doubling down on that book because it was such a success? Did you think about other holidays and things like that?
yeah. I try that, but unfortunately, when I published my Christmas book, then in the same month, Amazon terminated my account.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that book didn't have enough time to succeed. Yeah, it was a very sad story, but it ended well because after 14 months, it was February. I got email from Amazon that I'm back again. So immediately I just turn on the ads on my rabbit.
Perfect timing. They set
Perfect
you up.
timing, yeah.
They were like,
And
we
guess
feel like
and
we need
guess
the
what?
revenue
And
back.
guess what happened the next June? We just went for a cruise.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's so funny. So, so the account that got terminated,
Yeah.
that's the same account with your best-selling book. You had published a new holiday, and that whole account that had both of those books got terminated. So for one full year, you didn't have any revenue, right? 14
Yes.
months?
14 months.
What
Yes.
did you do? What did you and your family do in that time?
Uh, First, I wanted to become a truck driver. It didn't work. It was not my thing. But I started to teach others how to do that. So I started coaching and offering KDP related services on Fiverr, and and it became a great success
Hmm.
uh, because um, Fiverr rewarded me with Fiverr Pro. When you have that badge, they only give it to half of the percent of the people who can apply for that. But then you can charge much more, and people are looking for a quality
Hmm.
because it's so many, crap there. You know that, yeah. It's so hard to find a reliable services. So when I started to do services as with a quality as good as I would do my own book, then people started reward me with excellent reviews, and the reviews were so excellent that I soon started to get enough money from Fiverr to live from it. And two of my Fiverr clients, they are very good businessmen. They just wanted to start KDP business because they didn't know what to do with money. So I helped them, and then we became a partner because my account was terminated. I wanted to publish, so we came to agreement that I can publish books on their account, and we can split a share. Yeah, so that's how I came back to publishing, not on my accounts, and we had pretty big success in 2024. For example, on the December, on these two accounts we have $50,000.
Hmm.
um, and but the good thing is after 14 months they unterminated my account, so I have my account
Wow.
back, uh, and I'm very happy for that. Yeah.
So now you still own that main account. It's live, but
Yes.
you also have a partial ownership in some partnerships with other people.
Yes,
So
yes,
three, I know you don't like run three accounts because Amazon could terminate you if you do something like that, but
yes.
you have partial ownership in three entities.
Yeah, it's not, these accounts are not mine, they are but I just published, I created the books, publish, run ads, and do everything there
Right,
on
right,
their accounts, but I don't enter these accounts because it's not safe to do that.
right.
So of course I can do ads, but as for entering the panel, I never do that on other accounts.
Good.
I
And
always
then
tell them, okay, now you publish that, so we meet on Zoom and do it through the sessions, but they have to do it manually. I think it's really unsafe to let anybody else to enter your KDP account.
yeah, I think that's wise as well. I've heard of a lot of people getting terminated trying to they try to diversify by having
Yes.
multiple accounts in case one gets terminated, and then because they do that, they're more at risk and then they get terminated. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's like a domino effect. So
yeah. Do you think you would ever sell one of your KDP partnerships or your account?
yeah, yes, both these guys wants to get this book absolutely for them, which I understand. So probably when we meet next year, probably I will not profit from this account anymore. But still, I will be proud to have these books. I will be showing that these are the books that I created and I succeeded, even if it's not on my account. Yeah, because this is true.
Hmm. So what happened to the Fiverr thing? Are you still like where are you putting most of your energy right now? Because it sounds like you're kind of living off of yesterday's work. And I haven't heard much about new books being published or your vision for the future. So what are you working on right now?
Okay, so I started also 1 year ago. I started also a KDP program for Polish people in Poland.
Mhm.
Because I I had to decide: do I want to develop my KDP account more, or do I want to diversify more? I must admit I still have a little trauma after that termination. And I was thinking that before I will start publishing more books, I will start a program in Polish to have another income stream to be more safe, to because I didn't want it to rely 100% completely on KDP. With three kids, you know, it's not wise, I think, to just live from books without any, because they can terminate it anytime they want. Of course, I don't wish anybody to do that. It was my mistake, but it was not as big. So after 40 months of writing all the time, they decided to reinstate my account. But during that time, when I started to developing Polish program, coaching, helping people start KDP business, I've I've learned that I'm a teacher by calling. I always knew that, but I found teaching, helping others so rewarding that I just didn't have energy to create more books on my account. And I really don't know when I will miss, probably when I started to miss that seriously, when the hunger will come again, I will start publishing. But for now, I have only this one book, and then I republish my Christmas book finally, and I republish it. So this um, another story. So mistakes. I always make mistakes. So, for example, I republished my Christmas book this year, But because I was doing Fiverr, Polish program, and that, and 3 kids, and 3 rabbits, and 1 wife, I forgot one small detail to raise the price on that book. And when during the time it was unpublished, I don't know why, the price was $3.90 or $4 or something like that.
Oh
I don't
wow.
know, the absolutely minimal price. It was because it was back then the technique that you put the lowest price for a couple of days to to make it rank quicker, you know. But the profit was probably, I don't know, 2 3 cents. And I started to have orders from that book. I didn't have time to go into the panel to check that. So I had this December, I had a couple of hundred of sales, not very big, couple of hundred. I was expecting though some kind of profit.
Oh
It
man.
turned out to be so minimal because every book. So 2 days before Christmas, I figured it out and I raised the price. So I only earn probably, I don't know, I don't know, 100 $200 uh, during these 2 days, $200. Then it all died because it is Christmas book. But during all that time, when I was so happy to have some kind of royalties from that book. But the book ranked. So I'm hoping for the
Mm,
next year I will have
sure.
these 2 books. And I don't know, maybe I will feel the hunger to start publishing again. But now I'm really fulfilled by helping others.
Hey guys, it's Toby, and I want to address all the messages I get about coaching because it's really pricey to do coaching with the bigger courses, and not everyone has that kind of money. Sadly, I'm booked solid right now and have no availability. But in the future, when I do open up for more coaching, there's one place that you can hear about it, and that's at my email list. So if you want to get in, I highly recommend that you sign up for my email list down below because coaching can seriously be, if it's the right fit, the tipping point for your business. Back to the show.
Creating books and thrive on Amazon. For now, this is so rewarding that probably I will still invest more into that the next months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a lot of people listening are probably like, hey, I came here because I thought I was going to learn about publishing, but now he's talking about he runs a course and he runs, oh, by the way, is it in Polish?
It's in Polish, yes.
Nice. Okay, so none of my audience will probably a
Yeah,
small portion will be interested. He runs a course, he does coaching. What about the publishing? Like, what can I leave with today that will help me as a publisher? And the thing that I think actually is most interesting, Przemek, is publishing for you hasn't just been the means, but the means to the other ends. Meaning, what I'm picking up from talking to you is it's okay if you don't want the books to stay the main thing. If you
yeah,
have 1 or 2 books that win, that gives you enough financial freedom to then pivot to something that more suits your interest and
absolutely.
skill sets. So, talk about that process. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the I think that what people underestimate that the set of skills that you learn as a self-publishers give you at least 4 jobs.
Hmm.
You are so good in so many things. You have to learn. You have to wear so many different hats. So, for example, my Fiverr business, I just applied all the things that I have learned about ranking the books, creating the listing, creating the covers. That is why I succeeded. I just ranked my service to the first pages exactly the same way I was doing. So the reviews, the cover, the description of my service. And then when I started um, learning how to how to start the course. So many of these skills, what like we call it the keywords. Yeah, here in, we call it not the keyword, different kind of terminology, but the thinking is exactly the same. How you name the offer, how you title the book. Yeah, so it's so easy to just switch the business when you are a good self-publisher, because the set of skills, we really underestimate that. After a year of learning how to become a publisher, you are a e-commerce beast, but you don't know that.
Hmm. Hmm. It's like when an athlete succeeds in one sport and they transfer to another school for another sport or something. Sometimes they do incredibly well because they have like quick twitch actions that they know how to do that translate to the new sport. So
Yeah,
you've applied these same skills to other industries or things that suit your interests more. Um, what do you think about traditional publishing methods, the things that we all assume is quote unquote the way to do things? Because right now you're showing me that making publishing the main thing doesn't have to be the way. You're showing me there is another way. There's an artistic way of approaching the business.
mhm.
What do you think of the current mantras that are being preached about Amazon KDP?
I think it's working uh, for most of the people, but I've learned through the process of helping so many people that not everybody will find it appealing because of the personality and things like that. So, for example, I was always going against the stream. So coming back to my Easter book, it was completely the way. It was untraditional way. Why? Because we assume that we compete with books, for example. This is unconscious assumption. Yeah, I decided not to compete with other books. I decided to compete with other products, for example,
Hmm.
like other gifts. Yeah, so there are so many things that you can succeed and do differently. Uh, Learning. So I really believe that the way we do it now is is for most of the people the best way. But for everybody who is listening, if you feel that it doesn't feel the right way for you, you don't have to do that. You can try to go a different way, because you have nothing to lose. What Yeah, you will learn the skills. You don't have to stick with the main framework. I have students who are not doing any ads and they succeed. I have students who are not doing a couple of books, but they are doing 200-300 books and they succeed. But they are still exceptions. I don't try to sound like, oh, it's not working, let's change the model. I think it's working, but let's not treat that as the Bible.
Hmm.
Let's just treat that as the best way that gives you the highest percentage of possible win. But if it's not you, if you feel that you are stuck in someone else, clothing, then we just release you now. And you just can go ahead and be yourself in self-publishing space. That's it. Find
Hmm.
your own way and succeed. Yeah, so you don't have to stick to the main way of doing things. Yeah.
Hmm. I think it's fascinating that you said that you have students who are winning without ads. What I don't know. I don't want you to like tell us their strategy if it's a private strategy,
Mhm.
but is there anything you can share about that that might be useful?
Yes, of course. So usually in the micro niches space, when you do the micro niches, you need probably sometimes one or two sales to be on the first page. Yeah. When you have a quality books, uh, still the quality is important. They are not crappy books, but they just cover micro problems for a specific kind of people. And in these cases, in the niches they publish, um, they don't do the ads. So they chose not to. Personally, I do ads. And I'm too impatient not to do the ads. But they don't. And they sell books
Hmm.
because
So,
of the specific niches they are publishing in.
hmm. So they go really they go you said micro niches. So they pick something that's a very like for example, a guinea pig coloring book for adults. Like that would be a super micro niche or
No, no, because it's too bizarre, I think.
okay.
There is, I don't, these niches have pretty high need to be bought, these books.
Hmm.
So, for example, in your example, there is, you can buy that book or you may not buy. Nothing will change in your life. But if you have some kind of specific problem, oh, yeah, I have here several examples. I was brainstorming. Um, Maybe they are too broad, but the deeper you dig, let's say, for example, I don't know, the keyword we were discussing. I have on my notes, positive discipline. Yeah, the way you structure the way you structure the title is different for these people. So, for example, the structure is like that. Look, 90 positive discipline techniques to end power struggles and get your kids to listen to the first time without raising your voice.
Hmm.
The more specific they are, sometimes they narrow it to the, it's not even very, it's specific, but they can either to go for 7-year-old boy, 9-year-old boy. It's coming more and more common. For example, have you noticed that one of the biggest joke book brand doesn't have one joke book? There are joke book for 7-year-old, for 8-year-old, for 9-year-old, and the question: are the joke book for 7-year-old is a different humor than for 8-year-old?
Probably not, at least not by much.
Yeah, yeah. So I see that when you start to narrow it down, but still there is some kind of need to buy that book. It's
Right.
yeah. So and then they don't do ads, or they do the ads, but very the budget is very minimal, really.
Hmm.
Because if you are not a parent of 7-year-old boy, you just don't click. But if you are, when you click, probably you buy.
So by nature of being a micro niche that solves a real need, you have an incredible click-through rate. And
Yeah.
so your cost per sale is quite low. And then in the case of that joke book series, if you get them in the door at the 7-year-old, then you've got the 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and you can, for a lifetime of sales, you can make a ton of sales to the same customer if they make it a tradition.
Yeah, and imagine also that, let's say you target 7-year-old. Yeah, so you don't just rank for joke book. You rank through not competing with other books because you go for keywords like best birthday gifts for 7-year-old boys. When you type that, there will be probably three or two books. The rest will be products.
Hmm.
Yeah, but search volume.
Right.
Yeah, so you see so sometimes you go against the stream, you think out of box, and it may work. It may not, but it may. So
Hmm. Hmm. In total, I'm going back to your KDP catalog now. How many books do you have published across your partnerships and your own account?
about 1,000 books.
Wow. But
But I
only a few
started
of
when we
them.
were doing no and low content books.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we can count like a notebooks as a books, but I mean that everything was about 1,000 probably. You know?
Hmm. And then let's say of the books that took meaningful effort from you, like you actually put out an investment to have it written or you wrote it yourself, that, several $100s in, how many of those kinds of books do you have in your catalog?
Oh, it's hard to say because I had just a couple of these before they were terminated me.
Hmm.
Then I have these two books, and now after they unterminated my account, then I have these two live. But then most of the books I publish on not on my account, so I'm not sure if I can count
Okay.
that. If yes,
Okay.
then it's probably 50 books.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It's more. It's about 100 because
Wow.
I was making a test. Do we have time for another story because this is
Yes,
fun?
please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So on one account, I told my partner, let's make a quest or a test or a yeah. We will do two strategies. We will create for December an army of low content books against very small brand of high content giftable books. These books will be mostly Christmas type books that will die after Christmas, like Christmas coloring book for I Spy, Christmas books for kids, these type of books. Yeah, I call it the army of and or the funny kind of notebooks that are giftable. And we created probably 80 of these. I was doing that for 3 months. Then we had a small brand of only 3 books. It No Christmas books, but very giftable books. And we just released these. Who won?
I'm
Which
so
one won?
curious. I'm so curious. Did you
Okay,
did
it
you
was
run ads to both of
because
them?
yes,
Okay, okay.
the same budget.
Okay, tell me, tell me.
Okay, so the way we did this, uh, we put, of course, we had to group them. We couldn't run. Didn't make sense to run ads like we do for high content for 80 books like this. Yeah. but very small budget. And then we were excluding the losers. And the budget was only going to the books that were doing better and better. It is the old strategy from the time before. So if someone started now, the self-publishing, when high content is the new normal, it was the way that we were doing things back then. Yeah. But of course, now it was already AI, so the quality was much better than we were doing that 3 years ago, much quicker also. And then these three books, it was four because the fourth one was a bundle of two of these. So we can say four books. And these four books won.
Hmm.
So probably all of these were getting a profit about 1,000, not more.
Combined during Christmas?
Combined. Yeah. I
Wow.
mean profit because and this and these three, two of them from these four, two of them ranked very, very well. And it this small brand just earned, and it was not this year, it was last year, yeah, in 2010 24, $12,000
Wow.
primary from two books. Yeah.
So what did you take away from that?
uh that we don't we don't need the army of 80 books, but still, when I published the three books, my I was thinking that the winner will be other book, one of these three, because the fourth one was the bundle. Yeah, so let's not count it. So we have three books. I was thinking that that book will be the winner. It was the best one, and all the chances that that one was the third one.
Hmm.
These two books were doing all. That one was maybe earning $400-500. So I still believe that we need more than one book because Amazon is unpredictable. Amazon, it's like you want to you want to make that girl love you. You cannot make her love you, but you can dress nicely. You can pay for her meal. You can charm her. You can be your best, but you cannot make her love you. And this is like the same with Amazon. You can do your best to maximum your chances to Amazon love your book. But everybody who is doing that for a long time knows that that Amazon must love your book if you want to have succeed. If he will not, even the best book, something you think, oh, it's like a struggle and struggle and struggle. You do everything right, it's just not working. And you don't know why it's not working. So you need more than one book. If you are really a master of doing that, probably you need three.
Hmm.
Yeah. And one of them, probably Amazon will love. Isn't your experience too, Toby? I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah, I spent earlier this year, I spent about 6 grand on a book that I was certain was going to take off. And we have so far made a total of like, I want to say 600 in profit on it. And that's on the book itself. Meaning we haven't recouped the 6,000 investment.
yeah,
So total net, we're down like 5+ grand.
yeah.
And then the other book that I thought, I mean, there was a book that was top, I think it was like 50 BSR the year before that had low reviews. And I was like, oh, if I just do what they did and make the book better and get more reviews and 4.7 stars or above, That book spent four months on it, several grand, and guess what happened? It's still not ROI'd.
Oh
Meanwhile,
wow.
I real quickly like just put something together, launch that, and that outsells the other two. So
Yeah.
I think that the experimentation, the spirit of exploration will
Yeah.
be very
Yes.
helpful for publishers.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I had a student who was so into the book that when I asked her to change the cover, for example, she didn't want to change the cover because she was so much into the book. And I think that what you said, that experimentation, be ready to change, be ready to start the new project, is just part of this business. Flexibility,
Hmm.
not to be attached to the book like to your baby. It's not your baby. It's just a book, you know.
A book that will pay for your future babies, in my
Yeah,
case, Lord
yes.
willing.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. If you don't mind, I would love to pick your brain a little bit on your course, not as like a promo or anything. And as you know,
Yeah.
like our my audience isn't going to really be your demographic anyway. But I think a lot of people, myself included, have have an entrepreneurial spirit that extends past just the books. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I started in all the operations. I was like doing all of the busy work at first. I had started outsourcing pretty early on, but I still did a lot more work than I needed to. And now that my systems are very, systemized, I'm like,
Hmm.
where can I spend my time that feels more fulfilling or matching my skill sets? And so for you, you said coaching, teaching, that's more of
Yes.
your vibe. So how how does one start a course without it consuming their whole life? Because before you start speaking, you mentioned
Yeah.
to me earlier when we were talking earlier that KDP isn't your biggest money maker.
Yes. Now it's not. It's
Not
the
anymore.
the third one. Yeah.
That's crazy. So third place, KDP is third place for you. Then
Yes.
Fiverr,
Yes.
and then coach or the coaching course that you have.
Yes.
How did you build that?
You mean the course?
Yeah, the course. And does it consume your life? Like, does it take all of your time now?
Not really, because it's the I started that not based on one-on-one coaching, because this is what I do on Fiverr many times, but the idea was one to many.
Hmm.
So one to many means that people have lifetime access to all the materials, but what they really buy of this is the knowledge part, but what really is the heart of the program is that every every week we meet on a coaching calls. So my responsibility really is to meet with all of them once a week, probably for 2 hours, because I couldn't, because we have a lot of questions. We work on the spot with covers, with tweaking titles. Yeah, so it takes about 2 hours. Yeah, but because it's every week, it doesn't take 4 hours if I would do that once a month, for example. Yeah, so I prefer. So it's not a big deal for me. And then I I I have to in the Facebook group. I have to probably twice a day go and answer the questions if someone else did not do that. And that's all.
Fascinating. Do you have many people who work for you right now?
No, I don't have anybody. I'm doing everything myself for the cause.
Wow. And that's your main moneymaker. You
Yes,
started it a year ago.
yes.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
Hmm. It's so interesting too that like I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud now, but Poland KDP community. That didn't strike me as like a place where you go and you just like that's your niche where you have a ton of money waiting to be made. But there are niches everywhere with money to be made because you're doing one core thing. You're solving a need for a very specific person completely.
Yes, yes. And Polish people, not just Polish, but in our country, I have heart for that. My passion is really helping them to to have some additional money, and so they can buy what they want for the kids. They can take them to the vacation. They can fulfill their dreams. They can take wife to the nice restaurant. Things that not they are not as obvious for people who live in other places. Yeah. uh, and many of them, they have bigger dreams. They want to quit their job because the boss is bullying them, and they cannot do that because they support their family, so they are insulted every day. I know these stories, and this is the place where I serve now, and people feel that. That's why I feel that somehow they trust me. And also on Fiverr it's the same thing, yeah, because people can feel can people can people have to feel you. When they feel you, they can believe you. And now the trust is the biggest currency of the e-commerce, probably in 2026 for sure, especially in the era of AI. So when you build a program based on that, it's much more it's much more uh, quicker.
This has been a really fun
Yeah.
conversation. Thank you. I really enjoy
Thank you
listening
so
to you.
much. Yeah.
You're a fantastic storyteller, by the way.
Oh, thank you for having me in your show.
I loved it. And before anyone leaves, I want to see where they can follow up with you because you've given so much value on today's call that they better be seeking you out somewhere, somehow. What's the best place for us to send people today?
I think the best place to find me is on Fiverr. If they just type, because my Polish name is very difficult. My full Polish name is Przemysław Mieszko Bogdan. It's even harder to write that. So on Fiverr, I just took the first letter and I'm a PM Bogdan.
Beautiful.
But I've learned that PM for in UK it's a prime minister. So but I'm not a prime minister. It's I'd not try to be, boasting or something like that. It's just two first letters of my two Polish names. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. I will also link it down below for anyone who
Thank
wants
you.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And Przemek, thank you so much for being here.
thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Blessings.